You are looking live at the Sword worldwide headquarters in the lowest level of the library building on the campus of Wisconsin Lutheran College. And today, I'm the guest on the Sword Sports Podcast.
All right, it is 11:47 a.m. on Thursday, November 17th. It's 31 degrees outside right now. It's been a little chilly the last couple of days. We got the snow coming now. A lot of the stuff that came down earlier this week, it started to melt, but now we got a little more coming in here, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
It's crazy that we recorded a week ago and we were in shorts and a t-shirt. It was 70 degrees.
I was thinking about that when I was editing the last episode, because at that point it had already dropped, because the week started off super warm like that and then it cooled down right away.
Yep.
But that's typical Wisconsin for you. It just like jumps from one extreme to the other.
It is.
Welcome back to the WLC Sports Podcast, brought to you by The Sword, Wisconsin Lutheran's student-run newspaper. We have a very special guest with us this week. I hinted at it at the end of the last episode because we were very excited for it. It's the man himself, Rev Shev. How you doing, Rev?
I'm doing great. Couldn't be more pleased to be here. I mentioned before in the pre-production meeting, when we were doing interviews and things like that before, when VP Baki sent me the direct link that he was in there, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy's brand new, and he's in here. I mean, I got 10 years on me right now, but I'm honored to be here. We're going to have a lot of fun. I love talking sports. I love talking Warrior sports.
Absolutely. That's why we got him here, too.
Exactly.
We also have him here because we wanted to get a nice up-close look at the process behind the You Are Looking Live series. You just saw the nice little intro he did for us. So I was saying after he cut it too, like it was an honor to be sitting here right next to him as he's
magic
doing
of it in real life. Just
like I said, there have been times where like at a baseball game, I'll see him from afar. Like we'll be in the huddle after the game, and then he's like back by the stands, and I can see him. He's got the posture going where he's got like the phone up. I'm like, oh man, there's some magic going down here. I actually wanted to start with a question about that. When did the You Are Looking Lives start, and what was kind of the whole thing behind how you started doing that?
I think there's something funny. So I was the guy who thought to himself, I'm never going to be this guy who tweets, and I'm never going to be this guy who is social media active and all this other stuff. And then maybe once I got a phone that actually had like pictures and videos that I could take on it, I finally had to graduate up to that. And let's face it, I still just have the SE second edition, so I think it was the one that dropped between, iPhone 10 and 11 or something like that. So, I don't want to be too fancy. I think that's part of the fun, and you just kind of throw it up there. I don't even know what the genesis of it was. I'm guessing it probably would have been after when we came back to school in 2020, the fall of 2020. Yeah. I had been on video a lot. Everybody had been on video a lot in that spring and into the summer. And then I thought, hey, let's incorporate places where I'm at. And ultimately, there's the challenge of thinking to myself, okay, are people going to get the perception that this is about me? And really, it's not. Like, the whole point of it is to highlight stuff that's going on. Yes, where am I? But look at the cool stuff that I'm doing. And so I've dropped, obviously mostly sports things, but occasionally it'll be the random concert or theater production, all awesome stuff because I love to go to all the WLC things. But and if you've seen some of them on my Twitter page, because I don't have any other social medias, at Rev Shev WLC.
There we go.
Get the graphic up at the bottom.
Oh yeah, I'll put it up. I'll usually if I go back and post, I'll put like a screenshot of his page on there. So
I would assume this is super fancy. The production value.
The production value has steadily been climbing as we continue to put more of these together. If you haven't watched the first episode, normally I would say go back and watch it, but don't, because we didn't know what we were doing for week one. We were just telling them before we started about all the technical errors that we had in that one. But
we've gotten a lot better, but
no, I think it's like me and my friends, we always like catch up on them. I think it's fun just because it's a very it's like unscripted, it's like down to earth, and it's just a good way to highlight what's going on around campus. It's nothing too fancy schmancy, so like you can put them out just kind of on the spot. It's nice.
And it shows that you get out there and go to all of these events, which to me as a student athlete means a lot, and just I know to other student athletes and everything. It's so cool to be able to see like, oh hey, Rev Shev came and watched our sport today. I'm like, that's awesome.
And every sport's important. I think that's to me the big key. Time of day, location, all of those things kind of factor in. Whether my child is in it, Kaylin's a graduate. She was in track and field. Marissa played a year of volleyball. Elijah now is on the football team and on the baseball team. So they do get dibs, as far as selection as to where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's like, women's golf and men's tennis and all the ones that maybe don't get all of the notoriety or the recognition at other places. I'm like, no, this place is different. Everybody's getting it. So everybody's getting the full treatment. So
love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, seriously.
So I was just really curious as to like, kind of like, you see it and then you're like, well, what's the process behind it, or what's like, how did it start? Because I think it's, like I said, it's a really cool way to just kind of, he's going places and he's showing us what's going on, so it keeps everybody in the loop.
Exactly.
It's nice. So.
And even if you don't have time to watch a 45-minute podcast, you can always catch up with what's going on at WLC.
Yeah, there you go. It's
Sports,
just any way you can find to like represent our school and our institution, showcase all of our athletes who are doing great stuff.
Warriors supporting
Yeah,
Warriors.
exactly.
We say every time now.
Yeah.
So.
and it's always funny too, because in the Twitter world, the video cannot exceed 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yes.
So you're always watching
Right.
whatever else. So when my friend Adam Heinzen and I are pounding out like the weekend preview, and like all 9 teams are going on a Saturday in the fall, type of thing, it's kind of like, all right, Adam's got all the deets, he's got all the information, he starts going on, and I'm like, all right, I'm watching this. Okay. And the football team's playing. Go Warriors, because you got to get in all in somehow.
Right,
so.
right.
We wanted to get Adam Heinzen on as a guest sometime in the future, so
we
we'll
might
see
have
if
to
we
do
can.
that.
I'm sure he's a very busy individual, but we'll see what we can do. So.
And I could guarantee he's very expensive as well. So that's one thing you're going to have to consider. But maybe since we're friends, I can broker a little something and say, "Come on down, Adam."
We appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
We should get him like an agent or something. He's a big media star too.
You
now,
act like he
so.
doesn't already have one. We don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe he does. Maybe that was like insulting of me to suggest that. I don't know. All right.
I have one more question
Yeah.
that I just want to
Okay.
ask. That doesn't it ties into this.
Well,
sports
of course.
than what we're going to talk about.
It doesn't have to, because like we talk about plenty of nonsense.
Well, of course.
Pod too, but
this particular question
Yeah.
does. I was going to ask, with you attending so many sporting events, like just in general, if you had to pick one, what would be the best or like most intense like sporting event that you went to for WLC this year?
Ooh, whenever I think WLC, I think rivalry games. I think, and so when we're talking rivalry, I'll say it quietly. See you, Dub. And things like that. And so this year's soccer match, as it turned out, was a pivotal game in the overall standings. We had a draw, ended up, but CUW scored with 8 seconds left in the first half, and then both teams were scoreless in the second half, and you're kind of like, oh, if we had those 2 points back,
Right.
What could we do? So I would say, from that standpoint, it sounds funny. You talk about a game that ended in a draw, but other things have kind of been in the flow and natural. Not a ton of close contests. Unfortunately, that we've come out on top in, but I just think the excitement and the enthusiasm that our fans have brought. The first 2 home games for football were pretty amazing. Got the drum line in now and different things, and we played night games, so that I think allowed everybody to participate in their sport maybe during the day and then to be there at night. And again, that's the Warriors supporting Warriors. Yeah, the student body's always invited to come, but I think the athletes understand what goes into all of the work and action on the athletics side. So
Yeah, definitely.
I just announced it yesterday. It was funny because I've been in and out now of the athletic department, and so yesterday I was at their all coaches meeting, and so Coach Dude called me, "You got anything?" And I go, "I just want to say I love Warrior sports." And everybody kind of giggled, but I think if I'm off campus, I don't get to see as many students personally, and maybe on a daily basis. So when I get to the athletics activities, and I'm like, oh boy, this is my chance to see them in action doing stuff that they love to do. So the sport that does not matter to me, let's just do it.
Yeah.
There we go.
So-
That's awesome.
Love that.
Seriously. All right, now you can do your segue into
Okay.
the sports of today.
So we have it on the fancy schmancy agenda here. The first thing that's listed is something that we haven't talked about a lot. We're going to talk about esports a little bit, right?
Yeah, so reason that I wanted to talk about esports, especially here, was because, like you said, we haven't talked about them. And the reason behind that is that they have their page on the website, but it hasn't been updated. There's no roster, there's no news updates, or just not really much information at all. But I somehow, the other day when I was looking at Twitter, I saw that they have a page. And so I was looking at it, and I guess they went to like this big end of fall tournament. And what I have here is that they took 4th in D3 in the Wisconsin Rocket League. So I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know how esports work. I don't even think I know what games we have here.
Yeah,
But-
it's I know someone who's involved with it, and I think there's Rocket League, like Smash Bros, Super Smash Bros,
And
there's-
Valorant. And Valorant. Those are the 3 right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I
No,
don't
see,
I don't want to interject.
no,
I'm
this
here
is-
to
No,
help.
please.
This is why we got him here. That is helpful. So
I'm
that's-
here to
yeah.
help. But yeah, it's kind of a unique thing. I mean, and I don't know if it's on the agenda. I don't need to see the agenda, but those are the 3 sports. Coach Eppen is planning on adding sports, based on our roster size and whatever else. And I think there's a fun little nugget of information here that obviously Wisconsin was in college, Division III under the NCAA. Well, and because of that, we do not offer athletic scholarships. The merit grants, though, are terrific. But from this standpoint, since esports is not under the jurisdiction of the NCAA, we are able to offer esports scholarships.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you have heard that before. So
That's interesting.
I did not know that.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting little nugget as
Yeah,
if you're a
for sure.
prospective student thinking about, I want to play. And this has taken off, I think, in colleges
Yeah.
all over our state. So.
Yeah, I was trying to do research on just esports in general and who we end up playing. And like I said, this whole, where we were playing was this Wisconsin Rocket League organization. They played over at Carthage. They went over there. And they play teams. I thought where you were going to go with that was they play teams from D1. They play NAIA schools. They play other D3 organizations. So it's cool to... it's cool that they're able to play a lot of schools that we typically would never get a chance to play
Right,
against.
yeah.
I just kind of have that competition with them. And I mean, to be a first-year program and to end up 4th in D3, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you could certainly find worse ways to kick off the program than that.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
I saw on the Twitter that somebody named them as the sleeper pick, and they were really proud of that. So, hey,
No,
I
that's
feel like
good.
it's well deserved
That's-
after
yeah.
seeing this. So,
Now,
yeah.
I've got swag, I think, in just about every other sport. I'm waiting for that esports swag. So, I mean,
yeah.
when
We
it comes
gotta-
out, I'm sure it'll be something shiny and shimmery. I mean, they got a fancy refrigerator over there with all the power drinks and stuff like that. Eppen's got them working out in the sports
Really?
Yeah,
performance center.
We talked about that
Yeah,
like a
the
month
first
ago, didn't
episode.
we? Yeah,
Yeah,
first
yeah.
episode. How they're doing workouts, so they're adding like a physical
Yeah.
element. I don't want to imply that they're just sitting around doing nothing. but
Right.
You get what I'm
Yes,
trying to get at
I
here.
do.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think
it's a
that's
sport.
I think that's right. That's part of the discussion, right? Is that
Yeah.
now it's like they're athletes,
Right.
It isn't like you're just in esports. Okay, the farthest I've gotten is Wii bowling. That's a
Wii.
go like this and
Yeah.
then jump up and down.
Yeah, like you throw it
I had
back
a lot
and-
of strikes, or throw it behind you. Yes. Come on, how does that happen?
Have you ever bowled a perfect game in Wii Sports?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay, I did it freshman year.
No.
I still have the clip on my phone. I might edit it into this pod and post.
Please do.
Freshman year, I bowled a perfect game. My roommate took a video of the final shot,
Frame, yeah.
final
Yeah.
frame, bowl, whatever you want to call it. Are you ready?
All right, guys, 11 in a row, going for 12.
Going for the perfect game on Wii Bowling. Come on.
Yes! Oh, boy.
But I think I did it again during my sophomore year, I want to say. I don't think anyone was there for that, though, so it's kind of like
It doesn't
if
count.
a tree falls in the middle of the woods
Right.
and no one was there to
Doesn't
hear
count.
it, did it actually
See,
happen?
I would
But-
say that I don't believe you, but if there's video evidence of this, then
there's video and photographic evidence because I took a picture of the TV screen after I was done. So
I'm just picturing, that
Yeah.
that like sweet victory song from SpongeBob. I'm just picturing that playing in the background.
Yeah, for sure.
As Jack just runs around in slow motion.
we were also talking about Wii golf too. I don't know if you've ever played Wii golf, but putting on Wii golf, it's incredibly difficult because it does not. The controller doesn't really pick up
No, it
the
doesn't
subtle
register
motions
well.
associated with putting.
Was that Happy Gilmore? Tappy tap 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 tappy tap tap.
Yeah.
Just to ease it into the hole.
Yeah.
So
But no, I think we talked about this in the first episode, but again, we're saying don't go back and watch
Yeah,
that one.
that's
Well,
why we're
yeah.
rehashing it all now. So,
But we were saying that we think Wii Sports should be added to eSports,
Yes.
and I think that would be very entertaining to watch.
interesting.
yeah,
So
we'll see if that comes. I don't know how big the competitive Wii Sports scene is.
probably not super
yeah.
large, but you know what?
I did find out like a month ago that there is a competitive Mario Superstar baseball scene,
No.
and there is like people have like modded the game to add like online play. So there's
I
like
gotta-
ranked Mario Superstar baseball tournaments. So
Jack and I have discussed this
That's-
off screen that this is one of like a game that we both have in common from like our childhoods. My roommates and I still will play it from time to time.
oh, I now that baseball season's over and I've had a very small sliver of free time on my hands, I've been filling that by playing more Mario baseball. So
Yes, as you should.
yeah.
But no, we'll talk more about WLC baseball when it gets
When it gets to the spring,
when it gets to the spring,
Yeah.
which
So-
I'm excited about some of those spring sports as well
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about.
But for now,
This is not spring sports. This
Right.
is fall sports.
a lot of fall sports actually are just wrapping up now, and that,
Yes.
that includes football, who finished with their best overall record in it's been a few years, right?
Since 16, I
Since
believe.
16.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that, but yeah,
Yeah.
they ended up with a 4-6 overall record and a 4-4 NACC record, which amassed to a 5th place finish in the NACC, which is pretty decent. Like it's about middle of the pack. So
And if you do want to hear more football talk, I think we can recommend they go back and watch the Jalen Harris episode.
yeah, episode 2
Yeah.
of the podcast with Jalen.
No, that seems odd because Jalen usually doesn't have a lot to say. Very quiet to
Oh, yeah.
himself.
Mhm.
You know, not
Yeah, no,
Very,
he's
very
he's,
reserved individual.
Yeah, we really just got it out of him,
Yeah.
and it was it was incredible. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's but
What was interesting about the season, last year we were 3-7, so again a better record this year. But I think the expectations just changed a little bit too. Like I think there was a lot of happiness about 3-7. Hey, we got some victories, and this year it's like, oh, we kind of maybe left one on the table. Lost to St. Norbert 7-0. We were tied late with Benedictine, our last game here and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
what could have been, and still a very successful season. Some great seniors. I mean, Ty Castillo, the tackle king. That huge linebacker weighing in at about 148 pounds, soaking wet. Getting like 15 tackles a game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Justin Parbs, very solid on the ground. So it was a fun season to watch.
yeah, it was, and we kind of heard that when we talked to Jalen. The Lakeland win was a
Yep.
big one
Yeah.
that had just happened when we were recording, and he alluded to like, in past years we beat the same teams over and over, and we would always beat them. So we knew we were going to win these and lose these games. So when we beat Lakeland, that's when we kind of said, no, we have the potential to beat some of these other teams. And like you said, there were some really, really close finishes that hopefully next year we can convert into
Yeah,
wins.
keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's nice to, even if you haven't hit the ultimate goal yet, just to start to see some progress and build a little bit of confidence, knowing that, yeah, you can do this. So
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Because everybody ultimately in Division III football wants to play Whitewater.
Right.
We win our conference, we play Whitewater. Even the second place teams this year in our conference are playing in this Cousins Sub Bowl.
Yeah,
The
I heard about
Cousins
that.
Sub Lakeshore Bowl. It's going to be held at Robbie Stadium. It'll be done by the time we see this, but that's all right.
Yeah,
That's okay.
That's okay.
It's all good.
Well,
Yeah.
we should probably put out a disclaimer and just say like we're recording this a week earlier than we usually would, so it'll be what? Not the week before it goes up, but 2 weeks before it goes up. Just
So
because,
you're going to be watching this the week immediately following Thanksgiving.
right. And for us, Thanksgiving is a week from today. So
Yes.
just keep that in mind with what we talk about, both for recapping and
Yeah.
for current sports like basketball when we get to those.
Where you're dining actually today is Thanksgiving. Did you get your turkey and gravy?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's a real thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when we wrap this up, you better
Okay.
get over
Yeah,
there.
I'm heading over to lunch
Yeah,
after
might
this,
have to
so
do
I
that,
might have
yeah.
to get right over there.
Yeah, okay. Continuing with the theme of fall sports, men's soccer, they also wrapped up recently. Let's talk about that.
And continuing with the theme of teams that had a lot of success this year, ended with a 10-3-5 overall record and a 6-2-4 NACC record. They ended up finishing in 7th place, which we talked about with Peyton last week. They just missed the playoffs. They were so close, and to miss the playoffs with like only 2 losses on the entire season is crazy. Like that just goes to show how like competitive it was in our division this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I think that there was a new rule this year. Soccer eliminated overtimes. I'm sure part of that is fatigue and things like that, whatever else. So I'm guessing if you played overtimes, obviously a better chance for scoring and stuff like that. Maybe more teams playing for a tie this year and trying to figure out, okay, here are the teams we can get and things like that. But again, on our side, to have that kind of record and then to be left out, I mean, I don't know how the conference deals with those kinds of issues. Like, okay, if we've got this kind of parity, do we have 8 teams in our conference tournament? And then does that affect every other sport? Because I'm sure then everybody else will say, well, we finished here, and why can't we get in and stuff like that. So I'm guessing they try to be uniform on it, but it's like, well, this kind of stinks.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, for sure.
agreed. Yeah, it's unfortunate that they just ended up missing out, but hopefully next year they'll be able to come back and get into the playoffs. And have a lot of success there.
We got to try to find another guy who can score 50 goals in the next 4 years.
That is true.
Like Cano seems okay.
Yeah, he had.
He's in the notes for this.
I wrote it down.
So,
he had 17 goals this season, which was 2nd in the NACC, which is crazy. No, like, makes sense why he got first team all NACC. We talked about it last week. Same with Puma Galvan, also got a first team all NACC, and I wrote down that he had only 8 goals allowed on the season, which led the NACC by like. I think the next closest person was 16.
Holy
so
wow.
he had like he halved that.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
incredible.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And that's coming off an injury from the previous season that knocked him out. He was an all-conference performer the year before. Bryce Beckley came in last year, did a nice job, and they kind of split time early in the season. But then, Pumas, I guess you might say, had the slight edge from the experience and stuff like that. And so another great season by him.
Yeah, seriously. And then Tony Bedoya, we also talked about, got honorable mention, and he ended up having 6 goals on the season, so he made it into the leaderboards for the NACC as well. So just a lot of all-around talent that we saw on the men's soccer team this year, and like I said, a pretty good overall season. Just in the way that it progressed and went throughout. So
Absolutely.
and
do we want to flip that over to talking about the women's side now?
yeah,
Women's
I think we go to women's soccer again in the last episode with Peyton, which by the way, we always plug our old episodes. Go ahead and check that one out if you haven't seen it yet.
That one's still fairly recent too, so
It is, well, when we're recording it. When you're watching
at the time of.
It'll be a while ago, but we covered at length women's soccer and kind of my frustration with feeling that some of our freshmen should have been higher recognized for their efforts this year. But I also didn't want to take away from their season. They ended up having a 5-12-1 overall record and a 2-9-1 NACC record for an 11th place finish. And then Brooke Blum, who we talked about again at length last time, was 4th in the NACC in goals with 13 this season. And again, she got honorable mention for the NACC. Whether or not that should have been higher is still up for debate, in my opinion.
There was a very in-depth discussion about the awards process and how you can look at all this stuff. And again, that's not to take away from the people who did take home some hardware.
Of course.
Great job by everyone, but I think it was an interesting discussion. So.
It was, definitely. I was laughing because you had said at the beginning, like, oh, this is just going to be a calm discussion. And
No.
I was like, last week it was getting heated.
No, this is sports. We're passionate. We got hot takes. We can't help. You can't help that.
Exactly. And as a
part of it.
diehard Warrior fan, as I know you are as well, like it's you gotta support the Warriors.
One of the big thing on the women's side too is, a lot of young players coming in this year, and so can they stick? You guys know how difficult it is to be the student athlete, right? And to do that, and so certain teams, it's like, okay, maybe we're in health sciences, maybe we're in these business type of stuff, and it's hard to package it all together. Just an encouragement to all of our student athletes who are maybe that freshman, and, well, I didn't play a lot, or, oh, I'm a sophomore. It takes time. It takes time to grow into your body. I mean, I don't know how many people started their freshman year in high school on their varsity team. I know there's a few that have that opportunity, but there aren't a ton. And so, yeah, you might have been all conference, you might have been all state in a sport in high school. Everybody's a little bit bigger, faster, and stronger when you're the 18-year-old and you're playing against 22-year-olds. I think that's just part of it. So, to keep the continuity, to keep the team together, and to say, yep, let's keep pushing, I think is going to be valuable for them going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And we talked about that, having the young players that really shine throughout the year. I think them going forward, if we can continue or if they can continue to utilize their strengths and help train up some of the younger people that come next year and in coming years, they should be by in a couple of years. I think they'll be having as much success as some of the other teams.
There's stuff to build on. That's what we
exactly.
like to say. There's stuff to build on.
And I'm going to I warned you before this. I'm going to be dropping nuggets. Just learned it yesterday. Went out on social medias today. Coach Maggie Wake retiring
Really?
in women's soccer.
Interesting.
Jokingly retiring. She's in the neighborhood of 30 years old. Couple of children. Going to stay home. Going to be a full-time mom and look at some other opportunities. So, I hate to do that to the hosts and drop those things that were so unexpected like that, but the guest has to have a little something up his sleeve.
Oh, absolutely.
So looking forward to who's that next person who's going to continue to build on where we started and take this program forward. So
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations to the old coach for moving on to the next stage of life. So,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
exciting stuff. Let's go to women's volleyball as our next sport to recap. It's another 7th-place finish in the NACC, just like men's soccer. So again, just narrowly missing the playoffs with a 7-6 NACC record and an 11-12 overall record. I'd say volleyball was probably the sport that I witnessed the most games of, ironically, because we talked about how much.
That was the true storyline throughout the volleyball season.
If there was a plot to the podcast, that
how
was
John's attendance at the games impacts their on-the-court performance.
Yes, but in the end, the last game that I attended, they did end up winning. And it was really fun to be there, really fun to come out and support. There's something about the sports that happen in the gym, basketball, volleyball, that are just so much fun to watch.
I don't mean to be too personal here, John, but was there a person of interest that you were watching on that volleyball team?
There was not a person of interest. I was just there.
All right. Sorry. I know you guys are supposed to be asking me the questions, but sometimes
he came prepared with the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I like to go on the tangents. I like to go on the tangents. You got to watch out.
We get on a lot of tangents here. So, like the one last week, there were a lot of tangents with Peyton. So
there were.
Yeah.
And I love too that sometimes it's us. Last week it was totally him. He just was like, and another thing. Are we too far north?
Shout out to our editorial staff at The Sword for allowing us to talk about random stuff on a sports podcast.
Yeah,
and letting us get away with
exactly. Oh, no. But no, there was no specific person I was watching for. But I will say, I feel like everybody there had to have their eyes on Jenna Charon. There's a good transition for you. Who was first team All NACC and had 246 kills on the season, which is just mind blowing to me as someone who is currently playing intramural volleyball and not doing very good at it. It's crazy to think that she had that stat coming in at 4th in the NACC. So just fantastic season to her and the rest of the team as well.
Yeah. Third time for her. I mean, she's really been a stalwart of the program and things like that. Again, the number starts to dwindle as you get to the senior year, and yet she stuck it out, was so successful, thankful for that, and again, hopefully to continue to push it forward with a relatively young squad. There's opportunities to grow there as well. So
Absolutely. Definitely. And then next thing that we have on here is talking about both men's and women's golf. So last time we kind of talked about how the fall seasons ended. And I don't know if you know more about this, about how it works. Do the women just have only like their championship happens in fall and then the men's happens in spring, but then they have like parts of it in the fall? I was very confused.
Yes, and very much like tennis, right? Where the women play in the fall, but the NCAA championship is in the spring.
Right.
Yeah, we play a fall season in men's golf, and then you play 2 rounds in the fall and 2 rounds in the spring to qualify, for the NCAA tournament, for your conference championship, which is bizarre because in reality you can have a different squad. I don't think you have to play the same, 5 and score 4. People graduate at mid-year. People are no longer eligible. Whatever it might be. And so that's kind of a unique thing. Women played all four of their rounds, 2 rounds in Wisconsin, 2 rounds in Illinois, and then now the answer I do not have for you is when is their NCAA championship? That's
Right.
That's when I can't pull out if it's in the fall or if it's in the spring.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they have they go out and they still will have competitions in the spring, but I was confused as well as to how that went. But no, the women, so with that knowledge in mind, the women ended up ending in the NACC championships in 4th place, with Maddie O'Keefe coming in with all NACC honors. And then the men ended their fall season with 5th place in the NACC fall championships after the first 2 rounds that they did in fall. So we'll have to see coming back in spring where they end up and if they have any more star power on their team next semester or...
And obviously they're in a transition season too. I mean, they lost like 5 seniors from the year before. You had an all-region person in Sal Zarling and stuff like that. But the young guns, as I like to say, that they've got some good years ahead. I think it's a little difficult. That's the problem with playing like a split season conference championship. Like if you are behind by X amount of strokes, well, we only have to think about that for about 6 months before we hit the links again. It's kind of like, well, how are we going to make up 30 strokes? Okay, well, I suppose. The first place team could have food poisoning or something like that. We might, not that I'm insinuating anything.
Oh yeah, no.
But you never know what might happen.
When
so.
they mysteriously do have food poisoning,
don't come looking for us.
Forget we said it.
This section of the podcast mysteriously goes missing from the YouTube page.
Yeah.
But
when it comes to this section, it's gonna have the. Like the technical difficulty screen where it's got like the 8 different colors and like the yeah, exactly.
It'll just be a screenshot of that. Like that'll be it'll just be there. But
we even have the phone ringing in the worldwide office.
The phone went off right as we were making a comment about the sound.
It's almost like the bat phone or something like that.
Yeah, it is.
I think whoever was in first place in golf is somehow listening in live. And they're trying to call us
well,
out.
We had this idea for a live phone line. We didn't actually put it into practice yet, so I'm not sure what's going on, but...
Yeah, it rang once.
It did, yeah.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
It's
Maybe it's Dean. That's what I was about to say. It's probably Dean Bakke. So he heard that Rev Shev is coming on the pod,
this
and
clown
he's like,
out,
"Yeah."
get him off.
He's like, "Where's the donuts?"
Yeah, right.
That's right. He brought you food and everything.
He brought donuts. He told the story about when he was going to buy donuts. That was.
I will say that prior to this episode, Jack and I were both very hungry. We went down to the Woo, and I purchased a hot dog because I felt like it just was very topical.
Yes.
To have as like a brunch snack.
I told you couldn't finish it before he got down here, but
I was
you
hungry.
did.
Yeah.
I was hungry.
You couldn't wait like 5 minutes.
Well, maybe he got the hot dog in homage for Hot Dog Day. Maybe that's what.
No, that was what I was thinking.
You're very kind.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Very kind.
If only it was a Wednesday today, then we would really be out into something.
Then we could get like live footage of us at Hot Dog.
How long have you been doing Hot Dog Day for?
I believe it is about 8 years now,
Nice.
and it was just kind of one of those things. How do we gather people? I thought of it on a fall day. I didn't think of it in February, but a fall day. How do you just kind of get people around in a casual setting, kind of after classes in that 3 to 4 o'clock window and things like that. I know for certain seasons it's difficult, to smell it and then knowing you have to go to practice and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just been a fun little thing, and like I said, and it's no matter the weather, so rain or shine. I think the students in general like to see me suffer a little bit more. So even November 2nd was super nice. It was one of those 60-degree days that we had. The December version will be actually on November 30th this time. So if you're seeing that,
Yeah, so make a note of that.
yeah, because the following week then is WLC Christmas already. So we're catching all the holidays. I got all the holidays memorized.
This stuff comes up so fast, man.
does.
It's like
It does.
you keep thinking this is weeks away, and then it's like, no, that's actually going to be next week now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for you, like this will be like it's past Thanksgiving. It'll be coming up.
When you can't see this, there's only like 9 or 10 days of class left in the exams. So do your homework now. Don't wait.
That's true.
I like how we had the conversation last week about the semester is supposed to be winding down, and then John is still like forgetting the times of his classes and showing up an hour early. And
It was a mishap. It was not the best, but we're thriving. We're good. We're making it through.
thriving or surviving?
One of them.
No comment.
no
from John.
comment.
We need
no
the
comment.
podcasters to hang in there, all right?
Yeah. We
No,
gotta.
so
We're making it through just like everybody else. So,
the train keeps chugging along.
that's the best way I can think to describe
It might be about to fly off the tracks, but it keeps chugging along.
I think during these 45 minutes, the train is about as close to flying off the tracks at all times as possible. But
No, I'd like to frame it another way. We're staying on track. The track just goes like this. It's like
They're heavy.
Yeah.
going in all kinds of different directions.
the conductor's, it's like his fifth time on the tracks.
It's
The
controlled.
sixth time.
It's controlled chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Austin Powers, when he gets his little vehicle caught in that little area and he has to keep going back and forth, just a little.
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically us trying to get back on topic.
Yeah, there you go.
Especially what that is.
Yeah. Where did we even
I was going to
get
say,
sidetracked
speaking
here?
of getting back on topic,
Yeah.
I think we left off before we talked about women's tennis, which we had kind of alluded to, because similarly to golf, it has that weird gap between the season and when the championships are. But the women's team did pretty well this year. They had a 7-5 overall record, 6-2 conference record, and they ended up in third place. So obviously their tournament will happen in the spring, so we don't know how that's going to go yet. But excited to see how that goes, and obviously being on the men's team, I get to practice with the women sometime, and it's great that they've been having some success this year.
Do they offer you towels during practice?
They don't. They know better at this point. Like everybody who on the team knows better than to offer me a towel at this
The
point.
towel story has spread pretty far. He's superstitious. He thinks he'll lose all of his tennis matches if he touches a towel.
It's not thinks. It's
He
scientific
does?
evidence.
Okay.
as
There's
of right
scientific
now.
evidence. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
We'll chalk it up as a scientific theory for now, because I wouldn't go as far as to say it's like a law.
I might experiment this year. I might
Yeah.
just go to a match and play, and then the next match I do touch a towel. This one I don't, and we'll see. If we play the same team twice, I'll definitely do some control group.
It's going to be a real story the first time you win after touching a towel.
I'll bring in the towel.
Are you concerned about it touching your racket? Would you put it on your brow? I mean, what's
No,
the
it's
dynamic
just
here?
it's just I am blanking on the word. See,
Well-
the train is getting
Yeah,
close off the
yeah.
tracks, but it's like there seems to be a correlation to whenever I touch a towel, I end up losing the match after I touch the towel,
That's interesting.
which is obviously ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
I don't believe you, but
No.
that's all right.
yeah,
That's
fair
fair
enough.
But having said that, that at least means that your matches go faster. Because again, I love every sport. I'll watch everything on TV. But when I'm watching the U.S. Open, you really honestly have to wipe yourself off after every point. Like you have to wipe the racket off, and you have to wipe your brow, and all those things. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, some people are really like I understand with at least the pros when they get to like the fifth set, which is like their third hour of playing straight, and they're getting sweaty. Like I understand that,
Right.
but some people just like take it over the top. I'm
It's like in baseball when you got to adjust the batting gloves. Between
that's exactly
Oh,
what it's like. That's
Ryan,
exactly what it's
Ryan
like.
Braun used to be like the king of taking a ridiculous amount of time between pitches, because he'd get out of the box, he'd unstrap the gloves, restrap the gloves. He did like the little practice half swing, then he'd stand there and look at his bat and like exhale, and then do
Right.
another practice swing, and then come up, hold the hand up, tap the plate. It's like
Yeah.
there were 10 different steps to the routine.
I mean, end of the day, there's like I feel like with baseball, it's a lot more of a routine. With tennis,
Yeah.
I almost think it's more of like a get yourself a mental break.
Yes.
Just
Okay.
like, especially with like how like individualized tennis is, where you're just playing
Yeah.
one-on-one. Like you sometimes just need that like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
5 seconds to like regain composure and then go
Yeah.
back into it. Which
Unless you're John and you refuse to touch the towel, you're like, nope, I'm
Listen,
game on the whole time.
If you're not like completely sweaty by the end, like
I'm here to play. I'm not here to wipe my brow
Yeah,
or my
exactly.
racket. I'm here to play.
I can take a shower after the match. Like this is
Exactly.
It's not.
At that point, the towel is safe.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It
That
can't hurt
tennis,
you
that the
anymore.
tennis team, you
Yeah.
guys take shower.
Yes.
Baseball, I've been around them. Not so sure.
Yeah.
Not so sure.
Well, regardless, regardless of
The hygiene.
yeah, the hygiene
Stay quiet on
status
that
of the baseball team. Looking forward to seeing how the women do in the spring, and that's when our tournament will be as well. So obviously looking forward to playing in that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
There you go.
But and then finally, the last thing that I put on the agenda, since we talked about it so much last week, men's and women's cross country. The men ended up finishing second in the NACC championships, and the women ended up finishing in sixth. What I didn't write down was how they ended up doing at regionals. Some big news that we recorded the podcast before it happened last time is that they competed at regionals. The men took 17th overall, which is, I believe, the best that they have ever done in school history. And Peyton Hartman, our guest last week, ended up taking 30th and getting all regional honors, which is he was only the fourth person in the program's history to do that, which is really, really awesome. And as a junior too, so he's got one more year to.
I can only imagine what big things are coming my way. I mean, he was on the podcast, then he went and became all region.
Oh.
I mean, I'm on the podcast now. I'm looking for a big Christmas present. Maybe that's what. Maybe that's just what I'll look forward to.
It's the opposite of the Madden curse. Like you get put on the cover of Madden, you
Right.
lose. If you're on
Right.
the podcast, the next sporting thing that you do
Yeah.
is hopefully going to be great. Maybe that'll get more guests on here. So
Yeah, maybe that will. That'll be a
we're
good
just going to push that out.
That'll be a good recruiting perk.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I'll get that helicopter. Well, I originally asked President Johnson for an airplane. He thought that was a little ridiculous, but I've been going on Craigslist. There's a couple out there for a couple $1 million.
I'm sure the Craigslist helicopters are in tip-top shape.
Imagine you're just walking to class and you just see a helicopter drop down on the
Dude,
quad. And
that's how Hot Dog Day should start. He lands it on the basketball court.
But I want to go to the games. That way I can. Well, baseball's playing over here and tennis is over here.
There you go,
I can get to more. I can get to more places.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. I'm doing it for you guys.
I just got this mental image in my head. Just a helicopter flying over the field and then coming out of a megaphone. You are looking live.
There's that. I was personally thinking about do you really think the football team would ever lose a game if there was Rev Shev skydiving from a helicopter out of the field? And he's got the phone on. You were looking live.
Yes, we got so many different areas we could take this.
Yeah, so anybody who can lend us a helicopter, airplane, and parachute.
If you know a guy.
Yeah. Just
Everybody needs to know a guy.
Yeah, reach out.
Everyone knows someone.
I love it.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
On that note.
Well, yeah. On that note, I feel like the final thing that we should talk about here is basketball. Basketball is going to be a little hard for us to talk about because, as we mentioned, this is coming out, or we're recording it so far before it's coming out that there haven't been as many basketball games as you will be able to see the results for. But for us, the women's team played Carthage yesterday, took a 71-51 win, which is awesome. They also had the Paul F. Knipple Classic over the past weekend. They lost the first game to Calvin, but then they came back and won the next one against DePaul, which is some good competition for them. So that was really awesome. And then coming up here, the next game that they have, so again, you'll be able to see the results of this, but we don't know it yet. They're playing the #1 ranked reigning champion, Hope, which is going to be crazy to say the least.
Yeah, they're on their way to Holland, Michigan for it, and they're defending champions. They're ranked #1, and there's going to be a little different look to the season. Don't know if you guys were at the game last night. Reigning defensive player of the year for WLC, Caitlin Shadusky, went down in an injury.
Really?
Looks like it looked like it could be season ending. I'm only speculating, but praying for her that everything is fine, like that it's can be rehabbed and things like that. So lot of things that are unknown. It's just about, I don't know, 18 hours after the fact. So
Right.
hoping that the team that has some great leaders, the Sam Leismans, the Maggie Scotts, the Allie Goffs, who have been around for a while, can keep pushing it forward. So
Yeah, seriously. Best wishes to her, and just that's crazy. I was tutoring last night, and I was watching the game on the live stream during that, and I didn't see that, but when I walked out, I saw like ambulance lights, and I didn't know what was going on, but I guess that explains it. That's very unfortunate, not what we want to hear. But like you said, the team has a lot of leaders that hopefully can rebound from that, no pun intended there. But like, hopefully, I really think that it'll be...
Yeah, take advantage of the depth, right? That's going to be the key. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then I guess final thing to talk about would be men's basketball. And again, some games that you'll be able to see the results of. But they were able to take a huge victory in their first game of the season against MLC, getting over the 100-point mark, which is crazy. Then they ended up coming back the next day and taking a hard loss to Bethany Lutheran, 78-95. But as we mentioned on the last episode, they have a pretty big stretch here where they don't have any home games. Their next home game is against Concordia, Wisconsin, on November 29th, which I believe is the day after this will go up. So go ahead and get on out for that one if you can.
I think it'll be pretty important.
Yeah, I mean,
to a lot of people.
Yeah, games against Concordia, like you said before, are always kind of a big deal. So come on out if you can and support the team.
And again, trying to figure out probably a little bit of how of their identity, I guess you would say, from the standpoint, lost a couple of starters in Al Van Crete and Drew Bernhagen.
Yep.
One game, you're raining down threes, you make 15, and even 78 points is a pretty good output. But
right.
I'm pretty confident that Coach A is not excited about giving up 95 to anybody, and that's kind of where their game is predicated on: playing D, playing up tempo. Tons of guys get to play.
Yeah.
I was happened to be at the scores table for their opening game and for the first couple games of the women's season, and so looking forward to seeing what they're able to do. And always hard to gauge, but just with the talent and people coming back, I would like to think a top 4 in the conference is certainly attainable. So we'll see how it shakes out once we get to the conference season.
Absolutely. That's where they came in the preseason rankings, right? Or I want to say it was somewhere around there. I know the women came
I'll
came
take
in
your word
first,
for it.
and I would not personally do
Well,
that. But
you do your homework.
yeah, I
fact,
mean, I did it on this one.
Sometimes he does so much homework that he comes to the pod with like extra random information that we end up talking about. So
that is true. I did not do that
you
one.
don't. I was about to
Do
ask
that
if
for
you
this
had
one.
any.
No.
Okay.
But
That's
if you have
unfortunate.
if you have any more like burning questions for Rev Shev,
Burning questions for Rev Shev. I did have one question for him. So you moved into admissions this year. That's a new position for you. So what's that been like?
It's been a lot of fun, a lot of travel, getting out and really sharing the mission and the message of WLC. Christian leadership, great programs, great professors. Come be a part of the Warrior team. That means I'm not around campus as much, not getting to see maybe the people who have been assembled already, but hoping to tack on more and more as we see just the opportunities and where we're located. Obviously, I grew up. I'm a native of Franklin, so south side of Milwaukee. When you're in ministry, you're never thinking that you're ever coming back. I started a church. I was in Missouri for 14 years, and now I live like two miles from where I grew up. Close to my parents and stuff like that. So I think Milwaukee's a great place for people from all over. I realize we have students who come from regions that don't see a lot of snow, and they got introduced to that this week. And and I realize they might celebrate that first time they see it. We'll see if they're celebrating in March on Time 59. So
Right.
We'll see how that shakes out. But there's cultural opportunities. I try to be the guy who gets to everything, and I always know that I'm missing probably like 6 things a night. Like even the talent show crept up on me, and I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna be at the talent." no, super busy, not going to be there. But so it's been fun. Hey, ministry is great. I'm in the ministry, so encouraging young people to consider that. Maybe people aren't thinking college. Maybe they're thinking going into trades, workforce. Maybe some are going to go to the military. But I think if you want to get into a professional setting and to have great opportunities, I don't know, are you guys into internships yet and all that kind of stuff?
We're
starting to
getting
get
to
into
that,
it.
that phase. So yeah.
But the people who our health sciences group work with for clinicals and internships, our business people, our communications people, education, as we train the next leaders in the classroom and stuff like that, giving you great experience. And I think that's what you want. I think, yes, the athlete part is important, but I think the student part is super important to you. And so seeing the colleagues, I'm always really humbled by the people that I hang around with. I'm like, I'm just a guy, let's face it. I'm just a guy who's loving life and doing what I can and spreading the WLC love and joy and stuff like that. But the people who are in the trenches and the instructors and things like that, those are the ones who really aren't great. And you guys, you understand, you see your coaches, the amount of time and effort that they put into stuff. And then just, I'm going to throw a shout out to Barb Westness, trying to keep everybody involved. There's different stuff to do. I know everybody's busy, everybody can do stuff, but there's things off campus. So trying to share that mission and that vision. And so when I am on campus, I had my office in the Rex for 3 years. That's why I'm continuing to stay up to date and pay attention and to make sure that everybody's loving what they're doing. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, everybody who contributes to the mission here at WLC, all the hard work that everyone puts in, it definitely is reflected and it shows. And we love having people like Rev Shev who are always shining a light on that. I say this every week. We've had a bunch of great guests. Rev Shev continued that trend.
Absolutely.
He was fantastic. Brought some very interesting nuggets about WLC sports that we would not have had otherwise.
Yes.
Again, that's part of the reason we brought him in. I feel like he's the face of WLC sports in terms of promoting and kind of raising some recognition to what's happening. And now he did that by showing up on the pod this week. So thanks so much for joining us.
Seriously.
Really
I can't
appreciate
be more
it.
thankful. I appreciate the time. Thanks for letting me redirect your conversations occasionally. That's what I do in the rest of my life too, so it seems only appropriate that I sabotage you guys as well.
No, we enjoyed it very much.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who's been following along, watching all these episodes. Again, this will be a little bit of a time delay between when we get this one done and when it's going to be going up. But I'm sure there will still be some pertinent information, some entertaining moments.
Some nuggets.
So some nuggets, like I said. We're going to see you all in a few weeks.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Go Warriors.
You are looking live at the Sword worldwide headquarters in the lowest level of the library building on the campus of Wisconsin Lutheran College. And today, I'm the guest on the Sword Sports Podcast.
Dude,
That's incredible.
that was amazing.
to witness that happen in real life, it's just like...
Because I had seen the videos before, but you never get to see
No.
the production process up close.
And that's the thing; it's always one take.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's great
Like
about
Heinz
it,
and
yeah.
Heinz and
Yeah.
I. It's like, okay, Heinz, and here we go.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
something? Let's do it.
Like sometimes at the baseball games, like I'll see them from afar. Like I can see his
they're doing
I'll
it.
see his posture. I'll be like, oh, it's happening. But like you never get to see it up close like that. So it's
I think the other day at the basketball game, I saw you like walking around with the phone. Like I was like, he's about to do it. He's gonna find the right light and he's gonna find the right spot.
that's awesome.